Just a couple of years ago, I unboxed this, which is from IPEVO. This is the VZX, which is a wireless document camera. And in fact, that video was the first time I actually reviewed something, which it's been a bit of a journey from my channel since then. But today, I'm going to unbox this, which is from CZUR. And I'm going to see if in fact that's going to replace my trusty IPEVO visualizer here on the desk. And just like back then, I'm wondering whether this is going to become my new on-the-desk visualizer or document camera, and this one is going to go to school. And probably for me as a science teacher be more useful because I'll be able to use it wirelessly. I just want to say about the document cameras, they became massively more useful to us in education over the years of the pandemic. And educators have gained a lot of skills in using visualizers or document cameras to model examples of how to tackle questions, and also of course for teaching online. And really that's become a greater strength now for us in education. There is a rule in education about fair use of published materials, a certain percentage over which you shouldn't really go before you should just buy new copies of that published material. But reproducing a certain percentage is often okay, and I'd strongly suggest you look at the rules and regulations in education in your own country. So thanks very much to CZUR for sending this out. This is an unboxing of my first thoughts. I'm going to get it set up today, and then I'm going to live with it for a couple of weeks and give you a full review on the CZUR. Let's get it unboxed. It is very nicely packaged. This is the Aura. Three things that I'm really looking for in a document camera, something to give me these overhead shots, is the quality of the camera. And as you can see, I don't actually stick with the IPEVO because the sensor is so small, and I use a larger sensor camera to get that better quality for my overhead shots in this type of video at least. Certainly, I use that mainly the document camera for online teaching, or quickly for capturing instructional videos to share on my online classroom. I want to know if I can use this well as a USB camera for live streaming, because if I can't, then I will be keeping hold of this. And I also am interested if it's going to look good on my desk, because if it's going to live here on the desk, that's pretty important to me. So let's have a look inside this packaging. Side lights, so that's very useful for evenly illuminating your work. User manual, some software. I'm expecting to probably be able to download that. One thing they do advertise this as is also useful just as a table lamp, so that's going to be hopefully a useful feature and a reason to have it on my desk when I'm not using it. Let's out first. Power adapter. With international adapters. Finger cots for book scanning. So the idea of these is that as you turn the page, you use these to hold down the pages, and so the computer knows to ignore these yellow bits and takes them actually out of the image that it scans. A foot pedal so that you can actually tell it each time you've turned a page. USB cable. Chunky one of those. Still the old-fashioned data. Odd to see that. This is a rolled up scanning mat. So this is like an area for you to use. Nice, it's attractive looking. It really is attractive looking. Obligatory. This is what it's replacing. It's a little bit bigger, but it's going to fit in there okay. Side light installation, there's a data port just at the back there. And they magnetically just attach to the back, just like so. This is where the kind of important end is. What's actually looking down on the document itself. That's the camera itself, just there. And you can see it's surrounded on all sides by these LED lights. And there are LED lights that can beam in from this angle, and of course the side lights, which are mounted on the scanner. So that should be some even lighting on whatever it's scanning. In fact, somebody recently just commented on one of my very old videos that the document wasn't evenly lit enough for their this will change that. Okay, let's get it set up and I'll let you know how easy that was. So that's the software just downloading from czur.com/support, and it's about 600 megabytes. It's going to take my internet, well, it's down to about 2 minutes. It's going to take about 5 minutes in total. There are 3 cables to connect. There's the power, and there's the data to the PC, and then there's the USB to the pedal as well. So I'm just going to drop those down the back of my desk. I'm going to unplug and remove the IP vote, which is coming to school. You have to then key in the software key, which is at the bottom of the device. It should already work in lamp mode though. And I would recommend actually downloading the software, because software on CD could be out of date, and I'll bet you haven't got a CD drive in your computer. There is one in mine, but it's still better to download. So let's have a little look at that software. And first of all, now it's plugged in, I can run it in lamp mode. Press for 1 second, and there it is in table lamp mode. 6 brightness levels, turn the knob to change the brightness. Very nice. Useful thing to have on the table. I'm going to take this camera off because hopefully the next top-down shot you'll see will be from the CZUR Aura X Pro. So that's launched. I mean, I'm not sure what I want to do just yet for it, but let's have a little look what you get. Oh, I need to turn it into scanner mode. Long press the knob to switch to scanner mode. Okay, click scan, it's looking for device. Settings, privacy, camera. Oh, there it is. Okay, so it figured that out. That's the scanner on there right now. The kind of live image doesn't look all that high quality, but I'm guessing that's just a kind of preview. Let's let it scan something. No, in fact, it does have something I forgot to mention. I pointed out that was a lamp at the back there, but actually that's a laser which actually digitally flattens the image. What it will actually do is scan the three-dimensional page and actually digitally flatten it once it's scanned. So that is pretty advanced functionality. Here we go. This is just automatically pressing scan. I've done nothing else. Let's see what that gives me. It just seems to have taken 1, which is saved just into my photos file, and I can see that, yeah, it is in fact a higher quality picture than the preview was giving, so that's pleasing. Now I've asked it to do facing pages. It's got a little preview of where you should put the fold. I understand that I should use the black mat as well, and I have 2 images, one for the left page and one for the right page. It has a little shortcut to open up the folders, which is quite good. And yeah, it isn't ignoring currently my desk, and that might be because I need to use this. It does say in the setup that you should use this, so I wonder if that is a complete prerequisite to it actually doing a decent job of scanning. Oh, it's because I've clicked auto scan, so it's predicting when I've turned a page. Oh, okay, I've turned that off. I was wondering why it was making more and more images as I was doing nothing, but it's because it was on auto scan, which is kind of like it detecting when you've turned the page and just scanning the next page. Here we are then. And this can scan, I believe, an A3 size page. It has a little indent that should fit exactly. Okay, fine, but it's come up with a bit of a funny angle. Ah, that got it that time. Although it has garbled right at the bottom. Okay, so that's interesting so far. What else can you do just straight off the bat? And the question for me, can I use it for live streaming? Will OBS find it? And what will it look like on OBS? Yeah, it's found it, all right. Okay, that's a live image. Yeah, it looks fine. Does it look good? Another question. Is it going to flicker? Because it isn't really, this document camera isn't really designed for this use, although I don't see why it shouldn't be able to do a good enough job to be my on-desk live streaming camera. So let's have a look at the details of it. Seems to not like any custom settings at all. Let's deactivate and reactivate. Not sure why that's not working, but I'll figure it out and let you know. It was in fact just that it didn't want to be plugged into a USB hub as it was, and it worked just fine when it was plugged into a direct USB port. No flickering, and it worked just fine with the custom settings. I've had the Aura Pro X up and running for a little while now, and I've had the opportunity to test it. There are 3 things that I was really interested to see. Firstly, what's the quality of the camera like? How well will it work with live streaming? And lastly, well, how it looks on the desk. And the last one, certainly absolute no-brainer. This fits in really well here on my desk. One of the reasons for that is actually it has this useful mode, a secondary mode, but probably we might get most use out of it actually as a desk lamp. Okay, it's an expensive desk lamp, but built in with those features that I'm going to explore in this video and the full review coming soon, you'll see why this is a good option at this price point. So far, to play around with it, I've scanned a document. It's an important document for my wife, and that looked perfectly fine. I scanned a sketchbook. I'll talk about that later. And I've also got it hooked up to OBS for live streaming or just recording on the screen, whatever you're actually doing on here. I will talk about the camera quality quite a lot in the full review, and I must say this is not the latest product from CZUR, and therefore one limitation is probably the quality of the camera. This has, I believe, an 18 megapixel camera in it. I'm going to double check that actually. This is a 14 megapixel camera in it, which is perfectly good. I mean, that is more than an ordinary smartphone sensor. However, will it outperform a smartphone in terms of its just pure image quality remains to be seen. Remember that most of the flagship smartphones, they are costing around £1,000 now, and a lot of that money does go into that camera technology. So for something sitting around £300, which is what it is pretty much on Amazon at the moment, and there'll be links in the description to buy this, you wouldn't necessarily expect it to eclipse £1,000 worth of camera. For instance, in the full review, I will compare it to images from this camera here, which is a APS-C camera, and from the Samsung Galaxy S20 Pro, I think it is, or S20 Ultra, I think it is. It's an interesting company, CZUR. They started as a Kickstarter and they've actually been developing quite quickly. And the latest ones from CZUR, really interesting, have 24 megapixel cameras. And although megapixels aren't everything, the optics and the lenses are vastly important when it comes to image quality. And these are very compact designs. They aren't necessarily going to rival larger censored and larger lens cameras. In this case, and for this purpose, those more megapixels will probably go quite far. The one thing to say, if you're going to use this for book scanning, it's really important to actually use that responsibly and make sure that you pay attention to copyright rules. You wouldn't want to be caught out for scanning a whole book and sending it to all your classmates at university or any other thing like that and get into hot water about copyright claims. So just remember that that's not really the purpose of this. I can see this really, really useful for anyone who's doing archiving, if you found some old documents that you want to scan, or really if you just wanted all-in-one functionality sitting on your desk that can be used for many purposes. This is a really great option. The three things that I can really see for use of this, and I'll sort of give a rating for each, is for single document scanning. It's absolutely perfect. It's quick and easy, and when you're dealing with scanning a single document, the quality isn't really imperative. You just need to make sure that it's black and white and you can read all the words. And yes, you'll have no problems there. The next use is book scanning, and it's fine. It's good if the predominant thing in the book is text. It's not going to be wonderful if accurate color rendition for artwork is really, really important. As I say, compared to the Samsung Ultra, it's a similar sort of picture to the 12 megapixel mode, but the Samsung Ultra camera has a 108 megapixel mode, and that clearly blows it out of water. The 32.5 megapixels in something like this will blow it out of the water as well. So if you're looking to archive things like artwork, I'd suggest look elsewhere or really look into the latest from CZUR. The latest products are the ET range, ET24, ET25, and that means 24 megapixels, and that will surely be a higher quality than this one. So it's probably not going to go ahead and replace my 4K camera for this kind of top-down unboxing shots. The last thing to say about book scanning is that the laser level finder and these finger cots is a really innovative and really interesting use, as is the use of a foot pedal to take each individual facing page, or indeed it can work with auto page recognition. As you turn each page, it will figure out when you need to scan, and so you can get through a book very quickly. And the last use that I can see for this would be for live streaming and webinars. It's going to give you 1080p quality, that's going to be okay. The frame rate is however going to be low, and it will be good for those purposes if convenience is the most important thing. If you need to just be able to flick a webcam on, in that top-down view, do some writing, share some documents in your meetings, or via live streaming through YouTube and things, it'll be perfectly fine. Thanks so much for watching this unboxing. Stay tuned for more of testing and more examples from the CZUR Aura X Pro.